Here we have some southern flying squirrels at a bait station. There's one inside the box and one which keeps moving around. Let's see if he hops back into the picture. Southern flying squirrels. Oop, and he's hanging. Oh, they're so fast. Let's see if he pops back in. He's actually hanging up over here, but it's so difficult. Oop, there he goes. Southern flying squirrels are the smallest of our tree squirrels and the most predatory. They don't actually fly, of course. They glide. But, I don't know if you can hear them fighting in there. Oh, one got evicted. They use a patagium, a skin flap, as an airfoil to kind of glide through the air. They're extremely mobile, switching directions, going around trees. I've seen them leave the tree and come back to the very same tree, just changing directions in midair and coming right back to the bottom of the same tree. But they don't fly, they glide. And they don't use their tails to steer, they actually bank. They pull up on one side or another to go around things. Usually when they land on a tree, they flip automatically to the other side. And as you can tell, these guys, that's what they're doing. They're actually hanging around, but they're using the tree much as a shield to shield themselves from my vision and so forth, since that might be a potential predator. Southern flying squirrels are nocturnal. They only come out at night. And they're extremely good gliders, but it also means that they don't like wind. They don't like rain. It's slightly drizzly tonight. And if it's too cold, under 10 degrees or so, they don't tend to come out. During the summer, they feed they feed a lot, almost exclusively on insects and occasionally bird eggs and things as well. But that changes in wintertime when, of course, there's not a lot of these other foods. And so they end up switching to nuts and so forth. They also get much more social then. Not as much for safety in numbers, although that is a reason, but for warmth. Being small means they get cold very quickly. And by huddling together, sometimes 3 dozen or so in a hollow tree or in a box, like this roosting box we've put up, they can act, they're up and down all over the tree. There he goes. Grabs himself a little bit and leaves. But they'll huddle together as a living blanket, and thus the numbers. Southern flying squirrels can be extremely common in the right kind of habitat with mature woods and nut trees and so forth. Sometimes more so even than gray squirrels. But we seldom see them because, one, they're nocturnal. They're so small, and as you can see, they're extremely fast. They grab the food, and they run. If it were nuts left and they already taken what they have, they'll bite a hole in it first, and basically make a handle on it so that they don't drop it when they're leaving. And then they get up as high as they can, because every 2 feet they get up, they can get 1 foot out in distance. So higher they go, the farther they can glide. And you can glide up to 100 yards, but the reality of it is that most of their glides are much shorter than that, 20 or 30 maybe. But they are very good gliders. Very social in winter, not so in the summer. And these guys have accustomed to come to this bait station in this roosting box. This is a roosting box. I don't really use it for nesting because they will feed on each other's young too, so they won't hang out in the same places during winter they do in the summer. This has metal around the edges. That's important because gray squirrels will break in. Oh, one just landed. It's too bad I couldn't catch him gliding outside of the picture. I'm going to fan out. Maybe we can get some more activity that way. Although it's very difficult to catch him actually gliding. But they're extremely good gliders, and these roosting boxes, we put the metal in there so that the gray squirrels won't eat their way in. They're not crazy about flying squirrels. And you can see they're hanging out, but they're on the opposite side of the tree using it as a shield, so I can't see them. You have 2 kinds of flying squirrels in North America: the southern, which is this common one, and a northern, which is a little bit bigger. The southern is very common. The northern is more common in Canada, up in the mountains. In fact, here in Virginia, where this is being filmed, they're actually a threatened species. There's very few places where we have them. These little pixies are pretty darn fast, and it makes it difficult to catch them. If I ever catch one gliding, it would be fantastic, but it's, again, very, very difficult to catch them going through the trees and so forth. But at least we got a couple of good looks at them here as they feed on this roosting box. One way to tell if they're around is, of course, the bait station like this. Check it about a half hour after dark. But the other thing is by the way they eat. In the wintertime when they're feeding on nuts, if you find nuts and they have one nice, smooth, little edged hole in it, then what you have is southern flying squirrels. Gray squirrels break their food into pieces usually. And mice and voles, they tend to make multiple holes, jagged edged, all over the same nut. I'm going to pan up because there's several of them in the trees, although it's hard to pick them up. They're actually hanging out. Oop, there he goes. All over. They're extremely quick, active little guys. And there is one in the box, as I remind you, but he's, of course, very content feeding on whatever he stashed there already. Southern flying squirrels are nocturnal, common but seldomly seen, very elusive little creature. Here, February 1st in 2016, at a bait station, making away with peanut butter, and they've already stolen all the nuts I put out. Very neat, attractive little creatures that are common if given right habitat. We've built about 12 of these roosting boxes around, so they have plenty of places to breed and hide. But unfortunately, they're creatures of habit, and a couple of barred owls already figured out that they're here. They're good at hiding behind the trees, but the barred owls do show up. I'd love to get them on film someday hunting these guys, but again, that's a rarity to actually be able to catch them all at the same time. Southern flying squirrels, or as the Virginia Algonquin people used to call them, Asapanic. They do get used to people, as you can see these have done. King James wanted one in England shortly after discovery of Jamestown, after he heard about it, after John Smith wrote back about the Asapanics. And they've been popular for a while. Teddy Roosevelt had a couple, a family of them actually. They raised a family in his cabin. He loved them. Here we go. One last look before we sign off and leave our little southern flying squirrels to feed in peace. Southern flying squirrels at a roosting station in Arlington, Virginia. One glass glide. Very quick. Maybe I can get really close, but usually I lose the focus soon. But I'll try it one time. See if I can get a good shot of one close up. Scientific name is Glaucomus volans, glauco, gray, miss mouse. Glaucomus means gray mouse. Volans means flying, the flying gray mouse, which is accurate since squirrels are rodents, and they're so small they look like a small little gray mouse that's flying.